Hello, species value nature system. We each as tribes belong one way revives. There are three volumes, three natures of volume, with one nature of relationship to themselves, as the Trinity, as forever nature. This is manifest all ways with science. For example, with math, with the numbers, the letters juxtaposed as one body of value. For example, why and how the ancients revealed as the nature of internation science before their criminal re-engineering that Latin is a body of value as nature below, and Arabic is beyond, above. Also, with yin yang juxtaposed, they revealed together English, England and modern nations, in the body of value nature relationship to itself. That was the extent of the republic preserved through England and not just Italy was juxtaposed with the church too, because these were all modern nations, all modern religions were conceived as counter-insidious natures, forced per the fact-treatment nature for the fact-treatment nature quality of everyone's opinion, states and areas in collusion with formal juxtaposed overt criminal enterprises and criminally legalized specifically to keep states and areas fact-treatment nature juxtaposed collusion with overt, unrealized, uncharged, and just, all mass knave roles, blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, which is tactically denatured relationship to nature's positive relationship to itself, as a Trinity value relationship to its value/value nature relationship to itself. So, lost course returns. So the Campus Marcius, I don't know, my thing's not working right now, so it's slowed down. The ancientgamingsystem.com. But we're going to make an office, and then so people can be organized. And we're going to change the nature of fact-treatment nature with legality, with online platforms, because they're recorded, for example, with evidence reception bodies, with areas rackets, inter-campuses recorded with Sandy Hook, crime rolls with other campuses, hid per their roles with crimes with other campuses, their family members, and these systems in Connecticut, Western Interstate. And this was recorded how Maine and demonstrated how maintained with and as fake sides, juxtaposed and maintained that way through what was maintained on and off campuses, all areas maintained consciously as victim predators. Before they were sophistication, the peak sophistication of our founders all the way down was limited by what was already internation entrenched here, fake sides. The same exact thing that was forcing England to be a role with it here, as a fake side here, was the same. It was the same nature that was extorting them. All modern nations, criminally re-engineered Campus Marcius. Sophistication, reliant, invested, trained, hurt, criminally foreign influenced, worse, tortured, all sustained, fake care, sustained consciously, tactically, together juxtaposed to states to keep states and areas in collusion, as fact-treatment nature standing in relationship to the perfect value nature relationship that the campus marcius, that our fact, treatment, nature, our value is the value of our ability to make distinctions to each other individually and grouped to the space itself, which is either the difference between the difference between positive and negative value nature, where they're both temporary positive value nature, is their relationship to the forever nature's inseparable relationship to itself, simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly, as what is going to cause evolution here, or force it as our value, as Earth's value, from here, Lethe of Hades, as negative value nature, to positive value nature, perfect progression somewhere else. Then the reason this works, the value to all physics is the identity of value that is discernible before, then as the order to all finite active bodies of value, and progression value, and progression's value further as cause to positive or negative value nature progressions. 5 pillars of Islam are demonstrative about science. Science is how they share an identity. Yin Yang, they share an identity, Allah. Painting simultaneously 3 values as nature, painting the Trinity. Simultaneously painting 5 values as nature, painting what they are together, which is active relationship to radical correlation, which is the discernment of what is going to cause positive or negative value nature progressions. So they have interconcept roles with a method, measuring, exploiting, and investing. Fact, treatment, interesting one. Someone jumps up every time, repeatedly, through time. Oh, they make like religion, holding it to physical delusions, so they could say that religion has nothing to do with science. And they're holding the science of religion, realize, and they're making the faith with and as behavior crimes, formally space maintain interscience, on and off campus, fact, treatment, nature, justifications of that vested. Can't defend that and have the conversation about the organized crime that was using fact, treatment, nature with color with the law. Easy to describe how it was a breaching organized crime, also with laws against everyone of every color. In other words, everyone was roles. What was hurting people worse horizontally, and then vertically worse other ways. No one near the quality of fact, treatment, nature, and honesty to have it explained or understood from it as positions reliant upon needs to hide live progressions in relationship to nature, needs to hide fake sides of correlation nature, of issues, treatments. See, we have this invested all ways to our area. We have worse than indifference, criminal serious nature, value, or positive, a fact, treatment nature, down to before the finite, as the finite consciously. In other words, this is how they maintain state theories, not only collusion against our presidents, with the motivations recorded of our agencies criminally foreign influenced. See, even the way they're probing into the president about his treatments of Comey, worse than being used to measure the already built, measured, used, still criminally foreign influenced sciences, fact, treatment, you can't defend that, and also at the same time, agencies and their family members in relationship to forced forwards and retreats, tactically, originally, and still to maintain their areas, forsaken fact, treatment, nature, styles, defending only needs to hide lies, delusions, ill premise treatments repeatedly through time. Now they demonstrated sharing needs for suit and tie, fake counter type physical delusions about what power is, money is, all kinds of convictions attached to the Constitution, to reality. All sequence shifting rules. Because if you follow sequence shift, you follow what is true always, you follow exceptions and exception nature. You discern radical correlation, which is identity, a nature of identity. It's an identity of value, a nature of identity, and the nature is identity of relationship to itself, distinctly and non-distinctly to all parts of itself as those three natures in relationship to a perfect value nature progression three ways, where an inherent nature of volume is gaining volume even though it was already made as a volume of forever nature that was of an integrity before the active and the progressive manifest natures of its semi/complete identity of space, Allah, per science, per ratiocination, as a value of correlation nature that is true always and also unto itself positive, further with means coming in. When it's not, it's the negative value nature, ignoring the identity that is the greater nature that is also going to only allow means coming in as forced as evolution here, or means coming in as forced away. It's coming in as Lethe of Hades going out. Going away from immediate space nature value. To define immediate space nature value in relationship to us is with physical delusions. If you don't understand it in relationship to scientifically, you could discern there is an identity of nature, identity to all progressions that is bonded onto all progressions as the value progression of the nature of value progression of existence. Existence is a nature of value progression. Before, as now in the active, and progressively. And see, that's unchanging ways. And that is also simultaneously distinct, non-distinct. So is it distinctly, non-distinct, and by what is both together at the same time, which is the identity of space, Allah. And English was revealed to teach this. Alpha and the Omegas are revealed to teach this. Because this is A of Allah is identity of space. God, value G, is what we think when we're right. If we say God made us right, made us live. In other words, we say Allah made us live. The identity of space, the identity of the progressions. If you say, in other words, if you say, as a science term, not as a religious term, we're talking about revealed before modern languages. They're talking about criminal re-engineering of human fact-shaping nature because of criminally re-engineered sciences that came before them. They're not just talking about the identity of existence and of the value of its nature, which is a value nature, which is the extent that we're in control of, which is the nature and relationship positive as to itself, and the range we don't, which is why value nature is a term. So I was going to put that in the cartoon for the campus, and we're going to mix math in. We're going to make the perfect education because it's so simple, and because they're using the narratives with the theater of pseudo-positives originally and still through ages set up to be stay Oz. Fact-shaping nature, positive defense needs, and reliant upon contrast to the discernment, identities, value nature relationship to itself, which is the itself being the identity shared onto all parts of space nature, before then as the value of all finite. Before there could be a big bang, something could collide into itself, and it had to be generated. The identity of space was a perfect value nature progression. Adam and Eve are used to teach this because the sciences share an identity, like with the predicate act of the law and with the predicate of English. The predicate of English is always simultaneously inherently active and progressive relationship to itself, for the progressive, positive or negative. But it's always positive onto itself, a predicate, in relationship to, if it is positively true, always a sentence. You can discern that by, that's one of the things you discern. And now, so Adam is the subject and Eve is the verb. In other words, a predicate act too. In other words, so that's English. A predicate is positive relationship to itself. With the law, a predicate act is positive as identity, positive as value, as positive, which is positive, the value nature progression of the identity of space, that's positive. Always, in other words, to all different parts of space, that part that is before then has the value of those parts. It has the active value of the body, of value of the progression of those parts. It has the value of that unto itself, which is non-distinctly beyond our control. And this is important too, because this breaching method that came before modern nations is fluently, non-distinctly, and undiscerned, even to King's Oz, as King's Oz, Queen's Oz, as Chief's Oz, right through our countries, maintaining, invested. You can't defend that. Your fact treatment nature, your conviction nature, your justifications of them about other bodies of value. In other words, in relationship to a value nature system, we are a value nature system relationship obligated as fact treatment nature positive. In other words, we have to discern the difference between God, what is true always, and what is not. In other words, what is the identity of space Allah and what is not, as science. That was obfuscated there, here, to keep pseudo-unities forced, just like group-wise, just like with the finite, keeping pseudo-positives, all ranges of opinions, all necessary, all valuing the sabotage of correlation for the defense of themselves, as forced per pseudo-care, simultaneously juxtaposed torture natures of aggression, of naive fact treatment, maintenance to itself non-distinctly, fluently through each modern nation, keeping fact treatment nature reliant upon negative value nature progressions, chaos in hundreds of nations, time tortured all this to all spots, as forever nature relationship to itself, as a system that has nothing to do with the physical delusions regarding the organized crime method on our founders and on each body of fact treatment nature, beginning with the Native Americans, because this is how you describe the nature and understand the nature of organized crime. Not only that was obfuscated, worse than obfuscated, not anyone understanding and have everyone defend the other, pretending it's about, because they have passions maintained dishonest. That's the only reason everyone fights to care against prejudice, but not against quality, fact, treatment, nature. Then you can see not who's prejudiced, who's using passions and having their used opinion nature hide what was this sophistication before our modern nations, which knew that we were going to run to fight with each other, to take positions tactically denatured, relationship to nature, fighting for the least tactically denatured relationships to nature. And that is means. Least tactically denatured means relationships. This is also, again, simultaneously with how our forever nature was his value as an identity, as a value nature relationship to itself in the context of organized crime. So if faster we get support, we could organize the Burroughs book and the training for our value gathered with that, without treatment of the American Revolution of history properly. Treatments of Mao were also recorded, used by our fake patriotism motivations, maintained, originally stayed, entrenched through sub-rows of left by our founders for us to get out. But we don't have free speech because we have suits and ties nations in collusion with tactical ulterior from reality's actual value nature relationship to itself, which radical correlation is about. So we have natures of organized crime unchecked that are maintaining each modern nation's agencies worse than knave victim predators. Can't defend that in themselves. So they're fighting only to defend needs and means to hide lies past, active, and progressive, like about the value of voting. They're lying to themselves and others and stuff like that. In other words, their trick fact treatment nature raised per what is still blaming what was a method to the criminal foreign influences of the courts involved with witch trials, involved with them still obligated, but worse than forsaking their obligations to demonstrate how witch trials, how care is simultaneously obligated to juxtapose how that was juxtaposed with the slavery method, the divide and conquer method, that also would invest people, knowing it's a divide and conquer method, would build divide and conquer natures and methods, natures of values, of value nature relationships of identities to themselves and to others, as pseudo-patriotism natures here, there, everywhere. Every time they say ism, even their physical delusions, intersciences. 1860 to 1865 was the Civil War. Oh, just because the founders didn't even have free speech, just because they threw up the head of the Constitution, left it. They didn't have free speech. That means they had other speech, other sensibilities, that if they used anything other, it would be realized, because everyone was invested to roll. In other words, you're forced to be either. If you're forced to be anything to do with slavery, as an owner, as any range role in it, to justify, you think about time keeps going as a progression, as a value. So we're qualities of fusion that's insane. So every second, see, more than 99.9% of the crimes were by a breaching method that was consciously knew that it was going to do that to keep it. They already did it to the Native Americans. Was watching them blame themselves and others and blame other things for what they knew they would do that because they took over the Campus Martius, which is nature revealed. And nature reveals, Lethe of Hades, Earth's value goes until we give it back its campus, which is the way to cause evolution, which the ancient snow people are about. They're melting.